Sawadee krab. I'm Dr. Brian Beck, and I wanted to talk to you about behavior, how we learn behavior, and what happens after a behavior occurs, the consequence of a behavior. Consequences are something that happens immediately after a behavior. It's in response to the behavior that just occurred. All humans and animals learn by consequences, and we change our behavior because of those consequences. Let's look at an example. A mom and her son Som Chai are at home. She quickly wants to go to the bathroom, just for a moment, when her son decides to climb the kitchen cabinet to the microwave above. Now he was dangerously high, and he almost reaches the microwave, but then he slips and he falls. Now luckily he lands on his feet and he giggles. He actually enjoyed it. Do you think because of the consequences that he will do that act again later when his mom goes into the bathroom again? Or do you think he learned his lessons about the dangers of climbing in the kitchen? Let's look at another example about how behavior ends. A 5-year-old girl, Som Ying, she's camping with her family in the woods, in the forest. And she sees flowers and she sees a big bee on the flower, a big bumblebee, for the first time in her life, and she's excited. So she decides to grab the bee and hold it in her hand so she can capture it. The bee stings her, and she shouts and cries, and she lets it go. The behavior here was the grab. Now the consequence of the grab was the sting. It happened right after the grab. Do you think that she will grab the bee again in the future? See, the qualitative law of effect, developed in 1970 by R.J. Herrenstein, states that behaviors will change depending on the consequences that follow it. Whatever happens immediately after a behavior can change that behavior in the future. So as Som Ying grabs the bee, her behavior, she's immediately given a consequence that is painful, and in the future, she will probably avoid grabbing the bee again. See, she learned by consequence. She could have also learned by asking her parents, another behavior, and them giving her an answer, the consequence. All living organisms, all animals, humans, all of us have two types of behavior. We have respondent behavior and we have operant behavior. Now, respondent behavior is our reflexes. It naturally occurs in the environment. If we have too much pepper during cooking, we sneeze. Our eyes begin to water sometimes. Our mouths salivate. Our muscles might twitch and our eyes might blink. Those are all reflexes that occur in our life because of respondent behavior. It's something that happens in our environment and the body naturally reacts. These are inherited. These learning is inherited through our generations past, through our DNA. Now, operant behavior is something that we do now, in this moment, in this environment. In our example of Som Chai, his climbing was operant behavior. He did it in that moment, and he chose to go that high. And he learned through consequence that he can land on his feet safely without pain. So in the future, he might try again, unless of course mom comes in, gives him another consequence so that his behavior will change again in the future. If all of our behavior is shaped by consequences, doesn't that mean that behavior change or behavior modification is only possible through consequences? So in behavior analysis, we use consequences of reinforcement, punishment, and extinction for behavior change. So to recap, we have behavior that can be learned, such as operant behavior, and our natural reflexes that are inherited, respondent behavior. But all of these behaviors can be changed if we modify the consequences.